Previously, Nicole and Jesse had been missing for a whole year. Jesse's brother could no longer contain his worries and decided to embark on a journey to find them. This also meant that the hidden story buried along the old highway was about to be slowly uncovered. The story still takes place beside the old highway. The truck driver realized his truck was out of gas. With no other choice, he hitched a ride on an RV. The family living in this RV was the same eerie family that appeared in the first installment. After the driver got on board, the hostess looked at the young and strong man before her with an almost excessive enthusiasm. Faced with such an overly warm invitation from the hostess, something outrageous happened during dinner. While the husband was eating, he suddenly realized that both his wife and the driver were nowhere to be seen. Scotty gave his father a glance, and the man quickly rushed into the RV, only to stumble upon a scene too unbearable to witness. Seeing her husband arrive, the hostess panicked and falsely accused the driver of assaulting her. Upon hearing this, the husband was instantly consumed by rage and knocked the driver to the ground. When the driver groggily regained consciousness, he found himself tied to a table outside. The husband believed that the driver's actions were an unforgivable sin, so he decided to carry out justice according to his so-called faith. He severed the driver's hands and then cruelly gouged out his eyes. That night passed amidst torment and agony. The family initially planned to bury the driver's body by the roadside, but to their horror, the driver mysteriously came back to life.
What? Oh my God!
In an instant, all 5 family members collapsed to the ground. Since then, anyone who passed by would inevitably encounter misfortune. Nicole and Jesse had been missing for a whole year. As Jesse's brother, Tom could never let go of his brother and decided to search for them. However, Tom's fiancée, Marilyn, believed that Nicole and Jesse were likely doomed. After all, the police had been searching for a year with no results, and if Nicole were still alive, she would have contacted her. After all, they were best friends. But Tom was determined not to give up, unwilling to let even a sliver of hope slip away. He planned to leave for California first thing in the morning. Just before departure, Jared, who had harbored a secret crush on Nicole since childhood, joined the team. He didn't want to miss the chance to find the woman of his dreams. And so, they set off on this journey full of uncertainty in 2 cars. On the way, Tom mentioned that Jesse had called his cousin in Hollywood while on the old highway. Strangely, though, this old highway couldn't be found on any map. With no other choice, they continued along the general route toward California. After a long day of driving, they stopped at a roadside motel for the night. That night, Tom and Marilyn shared their longing for Jesse and Nicole. Just as they were lost in their emotions, a sudden screech of brakes sounded outside, and bright headlights shone directly into their room. Tom hurried to the window to check, but he saw nothing unusual. What they didn't know was that the elusive yellow truck driver had already set his sights on them. The next morning, shortly after they hit the road, Jared's car ran into a fuel tank issue, forcing them to find a gas station. While Jared was refueling, Tom seized the chance to talk to the station owner. He showed him Jesse's photo and asked for information, only for the owner to demand money before speaking. Marilyn thought the owner was just a con man and tried to pull Tom away. But then Jared spotted Nicole's medal on the counter, the very one she had accidentally dropped by the roadside before, proving that the owner likely knew something about their whereabouts. Tom immediately pressed the owner on where he got the medal. Only then did the owner point them toward the old highway, and even gave Nicole's medal to Jared for free. With the new clue in hand, they continued their journey. After they left, the owner pulled out a photo from his pocket. The woman in the picture bore a striking resemblance to Marilyn. Meanwhile, the yellow pickup truck with license plate number 303 was parked by the roadside, but they remained completely unaware of it all. They hadn't driven far when Jared felt a sharp pain in his stomach. Unable to make it to the next rest stop, he decided to use a portable toilet at a construction site, while Tom and Marilyn continued ahead. Ignoring how filthy the portable toilet was, Jared grabbed a magazine and went inside. Just then, a bloody hand suddenly reached under the door, but when he frantically looked around, the arm vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, Marilyn also encountered something eerie at the rest stop. She thought she saw Nicole near the restroom, but when she blinked, Nicole was gone. Back at the construction site, just as Jared was about to stand up, he saw a yellow truck speeding straight toward him. The first hit failed to knock over the portable toilet, so the truck rammed it again, completely ignoring Jared's terrified screams. Only when the toilet toppled over, spilling filth everywhere, did Jared manage to crawl out, covered in waste. But the yellow truck vanished in an instant. With no other choice, Jared resigned himself to bad luck and went behind his car to change into clean clothes. Just then, the missing yellow truck reappeared at the rest stop. While Marilyn was in the restroom, Tom was looking at missing person posters on the bulletin board when the yellow truck suddenly attacked him. Inside the restroom, Marilyn heard noises from one of the stalls. It sounded like a woman repeatedly whispering Jesse's name. Curious, she leaned closer to listen through the door crack. She was shocked to see Nicole writing something on the door. Thinking her best friend had finally appeared, she hurriedly pulled open the stall door, but Nicole vanished instantly, leaving behind a terrifying mass of scribbled words on the door. As soon as Marilyn stepped out, the restroom echoed with the sound of something shattering. In a daze, she heard Nicole's voice again. Half believing, half doubting, Marilyn hesitantly returned to the restroom, only to find it now filthy and wrecked, just like what Nicole had seen before. Terrified, she bolted out the door. But the Tom who had been waiting outside was now nowhere to be seen. When Marilyn called his phone, all she heard was eerie music. Jared, on the other hand, had just come face to face with the long-missing Nicole. Seeing his goddess covered in wounds, he ignored his exhaustion and hurried to disinfect her injuries with the tools in his car. Nicole then recounted the horrors she had endured a year ago. After losing the fight against the driver, she had been bound and thrown onto a bus where she suffered inhuman torture. The yellow truck's license plate number had even been carved into her stomach. Jared stared in confusion at the license plate number carved into Nicole's stomach, but she seemed completely unaffected by the pain. She then pulled Jared down onto the grass, and they became intimate. As Nicole moved, she kept repeating the word destination. Suddenly, Nicole coughed up a mouthful of blood, the warm liquid splattering onto Jared, making him instinctively recoil. When he turned back, Nicole had vanished without a trace, along with any sign of blood. It was as if everything had been an illusion. Jared put on his clothes and got back into his car. But no matter how hard he tried, the engine wouldn't start. Just as he was feeling frustrated, an RV approached. He quickly flagged it down. The hostess offered him an ice-cold popsicle. The husband, upon hearing about the yellow truck, asked about its driver, stating that only the guilty would be followed by the trucker, that the driver only judged those who deserved it. This left Jared completely baffled. As the family erupted into eerie laughter, Jared demanded to get off. But the twins gleefully revealed their treasure, 2 freshly harvested eyeballs. At Jared's insistence, the RV dropped him off at the rest stop. Marilyn quickly stepped forward to seek help from the RV, but Jared stopped her and told her about the eerie nature of this place. When he mentioned seeing Nicole, Marilyn wasn't surprised at all. As they discussed how to solve their predicament, Tom, taken by the truck driver, was being tortured. A homemade nail gun fired a nail straight into Tom's knee, causing him to pass out from the pain. When he regained consciousness, the torturer was gone. Through sheer agony, he freed himself from his restraints and painstakingly pulled the nails from his leg. Although Marilyn and Jared didn't know their exact location, they had a clue from Nicole's information. Determined not to sit and wait, they headed toward the gas station they had passed earlier in the day. Near the station, they spotted the yellow truck. Marilyn took out her handgun for protection, but the truck was empty. Cautiously, they sneaked into the gas station, where the owner was snoring loudly. When he woke up, Marilyn immediately questioned him about the truck driver. Jared, meanwhile, picked up the wall-mounted phone to call the police. But the person on the other end had a nasty attitude, sounding nothing like a cop, more like the ruthless truck driver himself. Desperate to find Tom, Marilyn demanded answers, but the voice on the phone responded cryptically, frustrating her so much that she hung up. Tom, meanwhile, had made a shocking discovery. As he climbed down from the bus to leave, a noise from the rear caught his attention. He lifted a small hatch and found a hidden underground chamber beneath the bus, filled with mutilated bodies. In a nearby cage sat his brother, Jesse. The brothers' reunion was indescribably emotional, but when Tom saw that Jesse's tongue was now only half intact, his heart ached beyond words. Marilyn found a lot of phones and victims' IDs inside the yellow truck. Jared even discovered a bag full of eyeballs in the back of the truck. The gas station owner turned pale with fear at the sight of those eyes. Under the threat of Marilyn's gun, he finally revealed that the truck driver had long since become a vengeful ghost. According to an ancient Native American legend, if a person is buried without their eyes, they will become a wandering spirit. Unless someone finds and burns their eyes, the ghost will never be at peace. With this crucial information, Marilyn decided to borrow the owner's vehicle to go to town and call the police. But just as they stepped outside, they realized the yellow truck had vanished. There weren't even tire tracks on the ground. Just as the gas station owner had said, it was a ghost truck. Terrified, Marilyn and Jared didn't dare to move and instead let the owner go to the garage to get a car. As soon as the owner was out of sight, loud noises erupted from the garage. Marilyn gathered her courage and pushed the door open, only to find the owner lying motionless in a pool of blood. Realizing the truck driver was nearby, Marilyn and Jared cautiously scanned their surroundings. Suddenly, they saw a shadowy figure wearing a hat. Marilyn instinctively pulled the trigger. They discovered it was the owner, who had been hung there. That meant the real killer was the body lying on the ground. Before Jared could react, the driver grabbed him. Neither Marilyn nor Jared was a match for the ghost. When they regained consciousness, they found themselves under his control. Jared stared in disbelief at the blood-soaked, menacing driver. Since the driver's tongue had been cut out, the owner acted as his translator, leaning in close to Jared and saying that the driver wanted him to torture Marilyn. Jared looked at his bound friend. He knew Marilyn had been unfaithful while Tom was in the military, but he couldn't bring himself to harm her. This enraged the driver. Without hesitation, he grabbed a tool and gouged out one of Jared's eyes. Overwhelmed by excruciating pain, Jared lost his defiance and was forced to pick up a drill. Under the driver's coercion, the rapidly spinning bit plunged into Marilyn's thigh. Meanwhile, after successfully rescuing Jesse, Tom and Jesse came across an abandoned car by the roadside. Tom was still basking in the relief of saving his brother, but Jesse suddenly began to repeat, "Why didn't you come for me?" Then he coughed up blood. As Tom wiped the blood off the windshield, he comforted Jesse, but in the next moment, his brother vanished. He then realized that Jesse had actually died long ago, and what he had seen was just Jesse's ghost. Grieving his lost brother, Tom intended to seek help from the gas station owner. But when he arrived, he found Marilyn trapped in the garage. Wasting no time, he rushed in to rescue her. After everything they had been through, losing their closest friends and family, they only wanted to go home. But Marilyn remembered Nicole's mention of the destination. It turned out to be the ruins behind the gas station. Recalling the owner's story, she decided they had to find the driver's eyeballs and burn them to destroy him once and for all. At that moment, the yellow truck driver appeared again. Thinking of his brother's tragic death, an enraged Tom grabbed the weapon from the back seat, ready to take on the driver. Marilyn knew ordinary weapons wouldn't work on the driver, so she ran toward the RV parked nearby. To her surprise, Jared was inside, staring blankly as if talking to someone who wasn't there. When Marilyn snapped him out of it, he finally started searching for the driver's eyes. Outside, Tom fired at the truck, forcing it to a stop, but the driver's seat was empty. With Marilyn's warning, he turned just in time to see the driver suddenly appear behind him. Tom fired multiple shots, and as soon as the driver hit the ground, he vanished. But in the next instant, the driver reappeared and knocked Tom down. Marilyn rushed in to help him. With Scotty's help, Jared learned that the eyeballs were with the twins, but the RV door was locked, so he had no choice but to place a gasoline canister near it and strike a match. While he was doing this, Tom was locked in combat with the invisible driver. The driver was right in front of him, yet all Tom could see was blinding sunlight. Just as the driver raised his weapon for the final strike, the RV exploded violently. In that instant, the driver finally vanished for good. But it wasn't over yet. On their drive back, Jared was looking for Nicole's photo when he suddenly crashed straight into the reappearing RV. It became clear. Jared had been dead all along. Everything they had just experienced was merely his ghost lingering behind. Tom was in utter disbelief. Back at the motel, lying in bed, Tom couldn't shake off the nightmare he had just lived through. Beside him, Marilyn softly wept. He leaned over to comfort her, but Marilyn kept repeating, "You should have saved me." It was the exact same words his brother had said. At that moment of realization, blinding headlights flashed outside the window. Through the gap in the blinds, Tom could see the driver sitting in that all-too-familiar yellow truck, and in the back seat, Marilyn sat covered in blood, sobbing. Tom bolted outside without even putting on his shoes, but there was no trace of the truck anywhere. It seemed the nightmare of the old highway was far from over. And with that, the film came to an end.